We've got a mystery guest for you today on PHNX Sun Devils, but I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's a mystery. Come on.
Happy Tuesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, we're coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Make sure you visit CircleK.com for details. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by
the stupidest guy alive.
The dumbest guy alive.
Sorry,
course,
I'm just
Erik.
the dumbest guy alive.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
There you go. We got Erik, we got the deli man behind the mag, making all of the magic happen. We already got JJB in the chat spawning, talking ASU hoops. I'm sure we'll get there at a certain point in today's chat. Steven, give me the lobster Totri. Is that the new nickname?
Based off the
tan and the redness of golfing, man. I definitely need to start putting
If you're a
some
lobster,
sunscreen
then
on.
I'm a whitefish.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Obviously, we are doing a Spirit Week here, ALLCITY Network. Yesterday, we did our favorite shirts. And today, we are doing our mystery guest day across ALLCITY Network. So every single show is going to have a mystery guest. Tomorrow, we'll do musical chairs. Thursday, of course, we got Big Brothers, Big Sisters Day. And on Friday, we've got a Die Hard Day. So without further ado, we're going to bring out our guest, the one, the only starting center for your Arizona State Sun Devils. That is, of course, Ben Coleman. Ben, how do you feel being our mystery guest today, man?
Man, I feel good. I feel honored, man. I think it's pretty cool. You know, you're doing a mystery guest. You know, I'm excited to be a part of it.
Look, we've had Ben on a number of times. I feel like every single time that we wrap up an interview with you, we're like, man, this guy is just, he's definitely got a future, radio, podcasting, after you decide to hang it up. I know we chatted a little bit off camera before we actually started the show, but just for everybody listening on audio and for everybody watching at home that maybe didn't get the chance to make it out, you had like a little podcast series, sit-down series over at Pedal House. How did that go for you, man?
Man, it went good. I think the opportunity to meet a lot of new people, I think, is most important. There's a lot of huge fans, too, that I never even really knew of. And I think a lot of people from, you know, a lot of people that have been on Twitter that have been supporting me, that you'd be like, hey, man, this is my Twitter handle and this is me in person. So I think that was pretty cool and unique to see, is like, man, there's people out here that are supporting you. So to put kind of a face, I guess you could say, to an account, I think was pretty cool.
You seem like a pretty down-to-earth guy. Is it still kind of weird for you to like have people come up and be like, oh, man, like I'm a fan, or I love what you do, and just like look at how this Arizona State team has kind of ignited Tempe, and you obviously being a really big part of that. Has that all really sunk in with you yet?
I think it has. You know, of course, Coach Dillingham, it's like the royal family of Arizona. My fiance came up with that, and I feel like it's pretty fitting, so I give him a hard time about that. But I think it's really cool that everybody being bought in and having that vision that Coach Dillingham had really from year one. You know, Prince Dorber and I were talking today, and we're like, hey, man, if you were, you know, in those first 3 years, we're the last group of people that was with Dillingham that first year. Man, we got to stay close, and we got to come back like mandatory weekends together, because we were the ones who saw this thing all the way from the bottom, like really from the bottom, and saw his vision and really everything that he spoke into us, like, man, we can do this. And then we all believed. And so I think seeing that, you know, come to fruition, I think is one, important. And I think it's pretty cool to see. I think less more we think of it as players, but more for when we see guys, you know, get drafted in the league. I mean, I was even super happy to see even Chris Edmonds the other day making a play on the ball. I found that on Twitter. So I think that was really important to see even those guys, Messiah Swinson. Just all that stuff was really unique to me. I felt like, because there was a vision that was established that first year about really activating the Valley. So now it being, you know, officially active, I think that's pretty cool.
You mentioned that first group of guys that transferred here, or that were a part of that initial recruiting class when Kenny got here. And we all know about that 3-9 season. It was a rough year, but definitely a lot of fight from you guys, and to see where you guys have come now off a Big 12 championship, looking to repeat as Big 12 champions in 2025. We had X on Friday, and we asked him just kind of like, what's the biggest difference, right, from when you first got to Arizona State in year one versus where you're at now trying to repeat as a Big 12 champion. Same question to you. What would you say is maybe the biggest difference from that year one to where you're at now, whether that be culture, communication, or anything that kind of falls into those parameters?
I think a lot of guys believed in themselves, but now we believe in each other. I think that's really the biggest difference. Is like we all had this individual belief and chip on our shoulder. I talked about a lot with Scat all the time. Like we had guys coming from Sac State, and you have guys coming from all these different places. And I think the reality is that as an individual, we all had a chip on our shoulder of like, man, I can do this. But I think now the difference is like, man, we can do this. We've done it already. I think from a maturity aspect, being professional. I think, anytime you harp on things over and over and over again. So now us being in our third year, really talk about being a lifer, little things, intensity, family, education, response, success. Like those are real things. Seeing all the guys graduate, like it's really become a family. And like I said, that was a vision that happened in year one that I don't know if everybody was necessarily bought into, because it's hard to believe in things that you can't see, right? And that's the true definition of faith. So I think it was really important for everybody to now see it, and so that recruits can come. It's like, man, we've done it already. So now it's just, essentially, we felt like it was in, our blood as individuals. And it was kind of like a breakthrough moment for a lot of people that have been, whether they came from a losing team or whether they had a hard path because they was ruled ineligible or injured, or it could have been all the above, right, combined. So we had a lot of breakthrough moments in this past 365, from winning the championship, but also, a lot of guys even graduating. That was a breakthrough moment for them because a lot of the, transferring is hard. You lose credit sometimes when you transfer. So, being able to have the opportunity to graduate, being like, man, I really am a Sun Devil for life. I think that's important because you don't just say it like, man, I really am a Sun Devil for life. I graduated from here.
There is a lot of consistency with this team going into this season, a ton of returning players, familiar faces and names. One of the biggest changes, though, is the center position. Obviously, Leaf moving on to the next level, you then shifting over on the line. How do you feel like that transition has gone for you?
I think that the transition has been great. Being in college so long, and being the old man now, I think it's important to add more tools to your toolbox. I think it's more important to focus on something new. I think you can get very stagnant, especially in your growth, if you feel like that you're at the same position and dominating at that same position. So I think that allowed me in the spring to go to practice, make mistakes, be frustrated, right? Be upset that stuff didn't go right or that you didn't make the right call. But as far as the transition for myself, I'm hard on myself, but I feel like the transition has been good. I think for the league, it'll be most important to show my versatility. It's the only position I didn't play. And I think that's just because when I was at Cal, there was guys that, that played center for a long time and that worked out. I had no problem. And then when I was here having Leaf did great. So I had no problem. And I think kind of it naturally flowed into, and I think that's when the best things happen. And that's when you have the most growth, is that when things happen from a natural standpoint instead of forcing it.
You mentioned kind of being the old man on the offensive line at this stage in your career. You could have gone to the NFL, had other opportunities. For you, as a Big 12 champion, why did you choose to return for a final year at Arizona State?
I think the opportunity to show my versatility, I don't think that was the best product I put on the field. I saw X mentioned about, man, really getting his feet wet. I know I could do a lot of good things, but I'm already in a better body position now. There's a lot of things I want to change as far as my diet, as far as my routine, as far as strengthening small things, core, strengthening my hips, things that maybe to the eye of a fan, maybe you couldn't tell, right? But the people that could really critique you can tell. So there's something that I feel like was unfinished business. And then most importantly is that everybody finishes college. College is super unique. I hear from all the league guys all the time. I have a lot of friends from now here and at Cal that have told me a lot of great advice. They're like, man, just take your time, right? There's no rush to get to the NFL. The NFL's not going anywhere. And that's a lot of advice that I have from my father as well. So I was like, why would I leave this place? We're super blessed and fortunate with the NIL situation. And that's something that a lot of guys previously didn't have. So there's big opportunities where you feel like, man, I don't have to rush. I can sit here. I can, enjoy myself. And at the same time, I can critique all the small stuff because I felt like I wasn't fully prepared. I felt like I could have done it 100% from a belief standpoint, but I felt like I had a better product to put out there as far as my entire body composition and my play on the field.
How do you attack changing the small things? Like, do you focus on one thing at a time? Or are you trying to change a bunch of small things at a time? Like, what's your process on improving on the margins?
Well, I think how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? I mean, and that goes from top to bottom. How you wake up, what's your breakfast? Finding your breakfast. I think that's the biggest issue is that find what works for you. That's what I tell all the guys. Find what works for you as far as your routine. Is it ice bath or is it just massages or is it both? Is it needling? What really works for you as a player, as an individual? So it also comes down to discipline. How disciplined can you be? We all want to go out and have a great time with our friends, right? And eat bad things and come on Monday and feel a little fat and run it off. And then you kind of just repeat the cycle. So I think it's most important to have a team. And the offensive line has been doing a great job, tremendous job of keeping each other accountable, making sure we're doing extra cardio, making sure that we also have time to say, hey, man, let's eat good during the week. And then let's go out on Friday and enjoy ourselves. And let's wake up on Saturday and get back to the routine that we were on. So I think it's important to have, like they talk about a work-life balance. But I think most importantly, it's being able to be disciplined. I feel like that's the hardest thing for us young cats. We're in college, we want to have a good time. But if you can really make those small strides on a day-to-day basis, you'll see it in the long run. So
what's your Friday cheat meal?
We've done everything, whether it's been, steakhouses. That was cool because we haven't done that in a while. The whole line, we had 5 of us. It was me, Kyle, Scott, Max, and Jametto. And Skrilla, and we went out there and had a steak, and actually CJ Fight joined us, and that was a lot of commotion with the D-line. They took a picture outside of the steakhouse. A lot of commotion with the D-line. Clayton Smith wasn't happy about it. Justin Wiley wasn't happy about it. You're like, man, I mean, if you want to go be offensive lineman, so they give him jokes. You already look like offensive guard. Just go play guard. I mean, you have to take pictures with him going to eat. I think it should be said that Max had the idea of taking him out for his birthday, and I was trying to figure out why the D-line didn't take him out for his birthday. But maybe that's just the offensive line mindset of being a little bit unselfish. And so while they were all doing whatever they were doing, we decided to take him out and say, hey, why don't we go out, treat him to a meal, have a good time, laugh over some good food, and that was that.
I love it. That's some good stuff.
I mean, how much steak did you guys eat? Did you guys put him out of business?
Like I said, being disciplined, now we'd be very reasonable. If you would have said last year, like I know we always talk about that, we weigh a truckload. So last year, towards the back end, we kind of laughed about it with Coach T. I was like, man, we were kind of heavy. Like how we live now from top to bottom has completely changed as far as our diet and our discipline. So even we had a couple guys that didn't even finish the steak. Like, man, I don't need to eat the whole steak. I can take it home, right? It's not going anywhere, right? The steak's not going to run off the plate. Make sure sharing side, figuring out, do we really want to do stuff? We kind of ran around the jokes of the butter cake because, Jametto said he didn't want the butter cake. But as Max kept having that, thinks, oh, well, CJ get a butter cake. Jametto was making small notes like, oh, somebody going to get a butter cake? So he was like, man, if you want a butter cake, long story short, we ended up splitting the butter cake because Jametto kept talking about it. So, we were rolling. They probably thought we was having too good of a time of there, but it was really just good food, good laughter, and good moments.
Oh, man, that's awesome. You bring up Jametto Big Bo. He is one of several transfers that have come to Arizona State, not just this offseason, but over the last several years as a guy that's been here now in Tempe for some time, really helping establish this culture. What is it like year over year, or just, I guess, transfer portal cycle after transfer portal cycle, getting new guys? Obviously, Jametto was, I believe, at Texas State last year, a team that you guys saw. So what are those conversations like when these guys actually first arrive on campus?
I think it's setting the standard, setting the culture. And that's something that he learned too. He was a heavier guy, as we've all been at some point in time. And he's done an excellent job understanding, like, this is what the culture, this is what the standard is. And we also understand that doesn't happen overnight. You don't expect a guy to understand the culture in one night. But, day in and day out, old guys or guys that have been here, even if you're a young guy that maybe you haven't cracked the line, but you've been here 3 years, you know what to expect, right? You know what the deal is. So I think, from a collective standpoint, it's been about how can we constantly reinforce and raise the standard at the same time with building a culture, because we feel like that's what's most important as a team. And that's why we felt like we were so good in those 2 years, because we were more focused about the culture. We're going to get better. We're going to practice hard. But Coach always tells us, man, hang out with each other all day long. Go on the weekends. I know it's easy to go do your own thing because it's the weekend and you saw them all week. But whatever you guys go do, we did a lake day with, I have a fiance and then Clayton Smith's girlfriend and Prince's girlfriend. We did a lake day. We had a great time. And then we came back the next day. This was Memorial Weekend. And then I invited over Jametto and Skrill. Everybody's welcome, hanging out with Shaman, all these different things to say, how close can we get, from the wide receivers to the tight end, to the center, to the quarterback, so that by the time the season comes around, man, it doesn't matter if you're a transfer or not. You've understood, like, hey, I know this guy. This guy's my brother. And I know what the standard is. I know what the culture is. So I think we've done a good job of that. Being able to make sure everybody controls their own room, making sure that the standards held high. Whether that's JT, Melquan was a big loss because he was, the old man last year. But there was JT. JT has grown a lot as a person, as a player. His routine has been even excellent. We live at 7:15, so we have to get there right around 6. JT's up there 6:15 because he feels like he has a long prehab process, what we call it, a long prehab process to make sure that when he does work out, he doesn't worry about minor setbacks of injuries and stuff this year. So he's done a great job preparing his body. So I feel like we've all done a great job from the older guys to make sure the transfers are all included and know what the standard is.
We hear a lot of buzzwords with this team: culture, family, activate the valley. Lots of talk about Kenny and Sam and Scat. What isn't talked about enough about the Arizona State football program?
Ben Coleman?
I could totally agree with that statement as well, but I think that just says that a lot of guys are underrated. Our quarterback is underrated. We all have Twitter too, and we make sure that he's level-headed. But, one day, Sam Levitt's the number 1 quarterback. One day, Sam Levitt's the number 7 quarterback. All those different things because there's a slight disbelief like, it's still Arizona State. Yeah, JT proved it, but it's still Arizona State. Oh, Scat ran behind that line. Scat was a monster. When you go watch the film, everybody says, oh, I didn't know that the line really moved people like that. In the Texas game, I didn't know the line really produced. I didn't know they were really creating holes like that. And then it's still a thing, but it might be Arizona State. We have a great coach. We have the best, offensive coordinator in the nation. We have the best coach in the nation. We have the best D quarter. And it might be biased, but I think there's a proof to it. But then we look at it and say, Coach Arroyo, Coach Dillingham, I get it. Coach Tuatele, Coach Aguano's the proof's in the pudding with all the running back. Coach Hines Ward, he played football, but can he coach? All these different things, but it just seems like it's still Arizona State. So we like that. We don't have no problem with that it's still Arizona State because Arizona State will continue to be on, to continue to go up from top to bottom. I mean, I think we see it from how one good season, and it started off with volleyball, so I'll give them their respect. Right into football has turned into, in the Big 12, that ASU can really be, a top program each and every year. And then we went and improved in football that nationally ASU can be a football program that can be in the top. And I expect all the other sports to follow.
You bring up a guy like Sam Leavitt, who has had a really interesting journey through his college career, even just a couple years in. What is that relationship like between you and him, obviously moving from guard to center, the relationship that him and Leaf had last year? And then really just how do you see your quarterback, Sam Leavitt, just in terms of that national perception?
Well, I still think he's 14. I don't know if he has a driver's license, but he does drive. So fair enough, that's illegal or legal. I won't snitch on that, but I don't even know if he's old enough to drive. Cam Harple, gives him some rides to practice all the time. So like I said, I don't know if he can drive or not, but he does have a car. But that's how I kind of look at him as a little brother. How much love can I give him in this short time? There's a lot of stuff on his plate. I don't think he's overwhelmed with the moment. He's always believed in himself, and I think that's what matters. So it's up to us to make sure we protect him at all times. I had 0 sacks last year. That was important to me. It was super important. I had 2 QB hits that I was upset about that came on 3-man stunts, which is always difficult to block as an offensive line. But I feel like I've always prided myself as an offensive line to make sure to have your offensive lines back, so that way you can help and have your quarterbacks back. Make sure that, if our quarterback gets all the praise, if our running back gets all the praise, the offensive line never needs any praise. So that, I feel like we're doing something right. I also look out for guys like JT. We have an unbelievable wide receiver group. So how do I get him the ball? I got to protect. I got to make sure other guys are protected. I got to put them in the right spot. Sam and I's relationship last year was super good. My parents, his parents, they know each other. They hang out. The moms talk all the time. So all that stuff helps. So every day we see each other, give each other big hugs, laugh, jokes. And you can ask anybody. I'm always the one that is going to tell him that he's not worth anything, that he's not worth bleep, just because that's the joke, right? That's the big brother in me. He's a young cat with a lot of stuff on his plate, but we feel like he's the Heisman. He should be the Heisman front runner. He should be a Heisman contender. And if he's not in New York, we feel like maybe we fed us an offensive line because he has all the tools in the toolbox to make it happen.
Last one from me. You talk a lot about advice that you give other people. If you can go back in time and talk to high school Ben Coleman, what would be the biggest piece of advice you would give him?
I think for high school, it's like, man, when you're in high school, it's not as serious as you make it seem. And I think that's part of the game, right? You feel like the lights are on, it's all about you, and then you go to college and it resets. So I feel like just take your time with it. I feel like my journey has been perfect. I've never been worried about what the next man's doing, who's going to the league, who's not, what's the next step, who's getting praised and who's not. And I feel like I've done a good job of telling myself patience, 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 because I feel like that's something that I struggle with most. I struggled with that as a kid, wanting everything to just happen now. When I was in class, when I was little, I want the class to be over. Do we have a test? Okay, I'll take it right now, and then we can be done. But my dad always harped on it, and I was very frustrated as a kid. And I was frustrated in college. When you're a freshman or sophomore, and you're getting some playing time, you're better than some cats. There's a reason for everything, right? And God has a plan. And I think that's super important to understand that my steps are already ordered no matter what. So I think I would just reinforce that to myself, is that your steps are already ordered. I got injured my senior year of high school, so I naturally had to wait. So I was eager to kind of show I want it to be my time. But I feel like I learned that pretty quickly. That my steps are already ordered, so I've never been worried about the path. I'm not worried about being the old guy. I'm having a great time, and I think the biggest thing I can tell myself is that each and every day, how great can you be? How good can you focus on the moment? When you said something, you said you want to be a college football player, you said you want to be in the NFL, you said all these things, you said you want to be a great person. So, long after that mood has left, you got to remind yourself that that's still my goal. The goal is the goal. So on days you don't feel like it, you have to maintain, find a way, and make it happen.
Ben, you getting so much praise and love in the chat for your responses and everything. People saying you sound like a coach already. One final question, maybe the toughest question that I got for you before we get you out of here. Are you a New York Giants fan now that your running back is now in New York running for the Giants, man, Cam Skattebo?
I don't know if I could ever be a fan of a team, but am I a Cam Skattebo fan all day long? I'll blow his phone up. I'll wear the jersey. I'll do all that stuff. If that means that the Giants were in red and blue, then I'll take it.
Love it, man. Appreciate you hopping on. Congratulations again on the engagement. I know Sun Devil Nation really excited to see you as the starting center here for ASU in 2025.
I appreciate it.
Love it, man.
Man, what a guy, huh?
Just a legend, man.
Jeez.
An absolute legend. Hit that like button and the subscribe button. Do it for Ben Coleman, man, because that was some
Do
awesome
it for the
stuff.
steak story.
That was good.
Also, the O-line, D-line beef, pun intended.
Who doesn't
about
like
CJ
a butter
fight?
cake, though?
Listen, the
I
butter cake
think everybody likes a butter cake.
Yeah.
And I think that was the problem.
Is everybody wants the butter?
Everybody wants
Or
the
at
butter
least
cake, but
Amanda.
nobody wants to say that they're going to get the butter cake.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Oh, man. Ben is awesome. Again, we've had Ben on a number of times, and Shane, I feel like every time that he's on, he knocks it out of the park, man.
Spits knowledge.
Yeah, he does. He does. Also loves playing the games that we normally have. That we've had some ones in the past that have just been wild games.
Yeah.
Definitely go back, look at some of those Ben Coleman interviews. They're great stuff. We'll react to that interview. We got some other topics that we are going to hit. Again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We will be back on the other side of this quick break. Look, I don't know if you guys can see it. Rubus is let me push you out of the way here a little bit. That way everybody at home can see all of the amazing Brandon Bills hats that we have on the wall. I got my Brandon Bills cap here right now. Look, I'll tell you a couple things that I love about this hat. A, it is super, super breathable. B, I could wear it at the gym. I could wear it golfing. I could wear it on a date. I could wear it to sleep if I wanted to. That's how comfortable this hat is over at Branded Bills. They got everything you need, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Not to mention they've got partnerships, of course, with Arizona State. And yeah, they do some charity along the side with U of A as a part of their campus collection. They're also a partner with the Phoenix Sun. So if you're looking for some gear to make your personal brand stand apart from the crowd, Brandon Bills, of course, has you covered with the best custom headwear in the game. Make sure you head to BrandonBills.com and use that code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order.
Let me push you out of the way so I could show everybody the Circle K snacks behind me, baby, because Circle K is here. I know I didn't need to do it at all, but I just wanted to do it. Listen, and I always want to stop at Circle K. We had a restock of our Circle K snacks, and I had the sea salt and cracked pepper chips, and it tasted like I was at a steakhouse. So good.
Woo!
I mean, you think like, oh, it's probably a pretty plain flavor. No, incredible, but it's not just food that you could save on at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. It's a free membership program. Save on gas. I'm talking 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon every day after that, plus plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts, 79-cent Polar Pop, 99-cent Froster, deals on energy drinks, electrolyte drinks, and everything from chicken tornadoes to pizza slices and breakfast sandwiches. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for full details. Okay, you can come back in.
You know, that's what they used to call me in high school.
Chicken tornado?
Cracked pepper.
Cracked pepper?
Really?
They'd call me sea salt.
Why?
I don't know.
Why would they call you that?
Devin,
No,
in
they
the
called
chat
me White Lightning instead.
asking about Kevin Durant. It's the wrong program, man.
Devin, 3:00, PHNX Suns. I'll be there. I'll see you there, Devin.
Let's see some comments in the chat. Steven saying for sure he's an excellent interview, detailed and thoughtful responses. Steven also saying big Ben Coleman, big ups to that man. Glenn saying every player offered Ben that comes through just oozes with maturity and focus. Season is gonna be special. Yeah, I mean, again, like the last two guys that we've had, Ben obviously today and then X on Friday, both of them I feel like could have very easily sat up here and said, you know, we're the reigning Big 12 champions.
Sure.
Like we could go into the season cocky, overconfident, whatever. But it does feel like both of those guys, and realistically everybody that we've talked to since then, has been very level-headed in this conversation about, you know, what's next for Arizona State this season. Why did you come back? And it does feel like whether it be self-improvement or, you know, there's unfinished business with the college football playoff and all that type of stuff, it feels like these guys aren't letting what happened in 2024 like really cloud their judgment and cloud, you know, what's ahead and what they're capable of this season.
I think it's a maturity thing. I think mature is the real word to put out there. And that plays into when you think back to what this program has been trying to build from the last 3 years, right? And we talk about not microwaving success, but putting it in the oven and letting it bake for a long time. And even though this program has seen success so much faster than most programs who were in the situation they were in a couple years ago would, I think that's because of the players that are being brought in and matching the mindset of these coaches, where you could take them back to the beginning of media cycle last season, where there was no belief in this team, right? Where they were picked to be last in the Big 12. You could let that get in the way and cloud your judgment and make you focus on the wrong things. But maturity broke through on that, and you saw them channel it and make it become like, hey, this is a motivating factor, but it's not the end all be all. It's not a distraction. And now it's this season. Hey, we have higher expectations, but some still doubt us. We're not going to lose our minds over it. We'll keep notes. We'll use it as motivation. But it's the belief in themselves, the belief in each other. I think the most potent thing that he said was, you know, the difference between this year and last year was last year, you know, everybody had this innate belief in themselves that they could do it. And now this year it's you look across to the guy next to you and think, well, damn, they can do it too. Yeah. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous. And you bring up the maturity thing, right? And a number of the guys that we've talked to have been just awesome. But I think what has stuck out to me, and it's ironic that we have Ben on today, because when we were in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl, obviously we know what that game was, and you know, even what we feel like Arizona State accomplished despite not winning that game. Ben was made available post game. I talked to Ben Coleman after that Peach Bowl loss, maybe 20, 25 minutes after that final whistle, of like a truly like a heartbreaking type of way for the season to end. And even then, his responses were thoughtful. He was very, very mature, and he was like, he could almost see past like what that game was,
which is tough. I don't even know if I could do that.
I
like,
was struggling
in the moment. I was like, yo, this sucks.
I was struggling at that point, man. So that again speaks to like what you said, the maturity of the guys that they're bringing in and how they've developed not only on the field but like emotionally and mentally. Overall.
And one last thing, I think we could talk about this for the entire show, but we got other stuff to get into.
We do.
You know, the thing that Kenny said that I think is now resonating the most when you listen to guys like Ben and X and Scat when he was here, and Sam whenever you can hear him speak, and Tyson and whoever it is, right? Is Kenny does not say that he enforces the culture.
No.
Right?
The players are the culture.
The coaches set the standard. They tell you what's expected. But it's on guys like Ben to walk into a room every single day and bring that standard up and hold the new guys to that standard and hold the ones who have been there. Maybe they're struggling that day. Maybe it's a tough day for somebody. It's on you to hold each other accountable, and you've got to feel comfortable and confident if you're the coaches and you see that these are what the players are and how they operate. And when you're guys like us who cover the team, or whether it's fans who are so plugged in with this team, it's all that they consume.
Yeah.
You've got to feel more comfortable when you know that your players are going to be keeping everybody accountable. And you know that Ben is probably in the front of the line when it comes to that.
Agreed. Look, we do have some other stuff that we are going to get to. We're going to play almost a little bit of a game right? We sit here just about every single day talking about Arizona State, what they can accomplish, what they can do in 2025, but that doesn't mean that they are immune to the obstacles around them in this conference, repeating as champions in the Big 12. In football, it's a very hard thing to do. I believe it's only been done one other time by the Oklahoma Sooners. So Arizona State has a very, very tall task. So, Rubus, we're going to go through the top 5 obstacles that are standing in Arizona State's way of repeating as Big 12 champions in 2025. And I think, ironically enough, the very first obstacle has nothing to do with the opponents in this conference, and it has everything to do with Arizona State itself. So for obstacle number 1, we've got ASU maybe struggling to make up the production left by Cam Skattebo headed to the NFL. Obviously, we talked with Ben just a second ago about him going to the New York Giants. There are a lot of questions. Is it going to be Kanye Udoh? Is it going to be Kyson Brown? Is it the wide receiver room outside of Jordan Tyson that step up? Regardless, I feel like this is potentially the most likely, if there were going to be an obstacle that could stand in Arizona State's way, I feel like this one is it.
Sure, and we've talked ad nauseum about what they've done to counteract that, whether it's bringing in Kanye Udoh from Army or Kyson Brown, who posted a picture, I think it was either yesterday or over the weekend.
Gigantic.
Looking jacked, looking like Shane Dieffenbach.
Looks like he's eaten a couple butter cakes and they went straight to his shoulders.
Yeah, if butter cakes was 50 grams of protein from just chicken. But I don't know, man.
Ew.
Yeah. Sorry, Shane.
It's okay.
I'm not extremely worried about this, but at the same time, I think it's pretty clear that this is the biggest obstacle for them.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember we asked, I forget who it was. I don't know if it was X or somebody else, but like, who is the biggest obstacle, or what is the biggest obstacle for Arizona State repeating as Big 12 champions? And right off the bat, the answer was ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And that is making up for who you lost. Changing positions, like Ben changing over to center, a position he said he's never played before at a collegiate level, and making sure that collectively you make up for one of the single greatest seasons, not just in Arizona State history, but in college football history.
Yeah, and I feel like this is something that's not necessarily just like super, super attached to Arizona State. This is just sports in general, right? If you have a team that wins a championship or that makes a deep run, what typically goes wrong the next season is they're unable to match what they did the year prior. It has less to do with the actual competition around them. And especially in a case like this, where Cam Skattebo did make up so much of the production for Arizona State in 2024. Again, not to say that you and I think that this is going to stand in their way, but if there were something to stand in Arizona State's way, it would be their inability to actually like make up what Cam Skattebo brought on the ground, through the air, in the passing game, in every other sense. Like that is in what feels like the number one obstacle. But we do have 4 more obstacles to get to.
I think Glenn actually points out the biggest obstacle.
Return of COVID.
Yeah. If COVID came back.
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly
I think
be
they still
something.
navigate it, honestly.
That would be that would be Bobby's biggest obstacle.
That's Bobby's biggest
No,
obstacle.
honestly, that might be Bobby's savior this season.
The
season gets canceled.
That killed that. We're not doing this.
Yeah. You were doing
Can we talk about Diop?
We can talk about Diop at the tail end of today's show.
I'm joking.
Maybe Diop after D-break?
Diop after all of the breaks. How about that? That work?
Like right now?
Yeah, including
let's
this
go to
one right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever just sit at home and then turn on the TV and then you go back to ASU Peach Bowl versus Texas? Highlights?
I still haven't watched
sometimes.
the game.
Really?
Broadcast? Not once.
Wow.
I know. I want to. I'm going to. I'm going to need some pure edibles.
Yes, 100%. That's what I was getting to. If you are going to experience, especially that fourth quarter, take some pure edibles. It makes the
Just
emotion.
watch the first 3.
It takes the emotional roller coaster to a whole new level. You'll feel things that you've never thought you could even feel.
Don't watch
before.
the first 3.
Yeah, no, I said that. I'm like, actually, no, don't do
Just
that.
just watch.
If you watch the
fourth
first
quarter.
3 quarters, you're going to be the most sad.
Watch just the fourth quarter and then end it right at the
Well,
End it before the 4th and 12th.
You're probably asking, how do I get my hands on some pure edibles? Well, look, they're available in 130 dispensaries statewide. My personal favorite part about pure Pure Edibles is that the gummies are not covered in sugar like all of their competitors, but that doesn't mean that they don't taste damn good. They taste like candy. They offer gummies, kicks, which are their version of Starburst, chews, soft candies like caramel, and of course hard candies as well. Make sure you go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
After that last play of the Peach Bowl, I had to hit a floor lay. But luckily, maybe, floors for Empire today.
I could use a floor lay.
Listen, the thing with Empire Today that's so much better, just go ahead. Come on.
Go ahead,
lay on the floor. They're Empire Today floors, which means they're good. And the best part about Empire Today is they'll come to your house. It's free, same day estimate to come in and say, hey, these are the best floors that are going to be for your place, whether it's to match your walls, whether it's to match your furniture, whether it's to match what your house is made out of. And then guess what? Installation as soon as the next day. Clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing. Installation as soon as the next day. Totri's on the ground because he loves Empire Today. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and PHNX listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code PHNX. That's right, a $350 off discount with promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHNX for full details. I'm so jealous of your floor lay. I would love to.
like a good floor
Dude,
lay?
all this Katie stuff is making me want to lay on the floor.
I mean, go ahead. You
Can-
want to go lay on the floor? We should do a floor lay podcast.
I bet I could bring the mic down here.
No.
Yeah, this is what.
No, not on camera
We should
at
put
all.
Well,
we
no.
should put a camera on Shane to watch him slowly have an aneurysm while I take the mic and lay on the ground.
Okay, Eric's muted.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just gonna mute you at this point.
We need to have another Excalibur podcast where we're in the hotel room beds. That was insane.
That was If you go deep into the archives of PHNX Sun Devils, there's some very interesting shows that we put together.
What was it? It was me on one bed,
Sean on the other, and I
And
was
then you
just
were just
sitting in the
sitting-
middle. It
yeah.
was so uncomfortable. It was so annoying.
Oh,
Are you ready?
That
You
was
ready?
great.
It's great. It's great, Rubus, but I need you to get up. That would be obstacle number 2 to Rubus not repeating as a Big 12 champion. Standing up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tough thing. But obstacle number 2 for your Arizona State Sun Devils in terms of repeating as Big 12 champions, maybe Kansas State, Iowa State, and BYU take a step forward instead of a step back.
another obstacle would be if Avery Johnson, just like this graphic is showing, grows another arm.
Third arm.
Yeah, what the heck?
Whoops.
Jeez.
Stiff arm.
Sorry,
He
guys.
grows He grows a third arm. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, he
Avery
becomes
Johnson.
like Machoke.
Great Pokemon. Great
Or is that
Pokemon.
Machamp? Machamp has all of them, right?
Machamp has all of the arms. He has 4 arms.
Yeah, he has
yeah.
What's the younger one? Machop. Machop only has 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machoke.
Yeah. Well, all of these teams, I think, have a chance to be really good again in 2025. But I think in terms of the conversation surrounding Arizona State, a lot of it has to do with, okay, this is what ASU is doing. This is what ASU is doing, but not necessarily, oh, wait, look what Kansas State has done. Look at Iowa State trying to reload. What about BYU, right? So I think that's certainly another obstacle, as these were 3 teams that were highly, highly competitive last year.
You know, and William says more worried about Baylor, Tech, TCU taking a step forward. And I think that those are valid concerns. Here's the thing, though. Kansas State last year was a good team. Iowa State last year, obviously, in the Big 12 championship. BYU at a certain point was a top 10 team in the country. If these teams improve, if these teams get better, we're talking about some of the most elite teams in college football. Well, yes, if Tech takes a step forward, that's scary. If Baylor takes a step forward, that's scary. If TCU takes a step forward, that's scary. BYU was a top 10 team in the country.
They were top 5 at one
for
point,
a good
weren't they?
portion. I think 6 is where they
Maybe
capped
6.
out. But there seriously is something to be said if there is another team that can contend to being top 10, because right now we feel like ASU is the only one whose ceiling is in the top 10. If one of these teams takes that elite step, then that is as big of an obstacle as you could possibly imagine.
Do you feel like some of the national media are sleeping on what these other teams have done? Or is it just us?
They're in love with BYU. BYU's ahead of ASU in a lot of the top 25. I see Kansas State consistently in 25. Iowa State consistently like right outside of it. I don't know if there's been as much disrespect for them. And maybe that's just the ASU bias in me. But I feel like ASU's been the one that's been slept on the most out of all 4 of those teams.
What do you think, Deli Man?
I don't think they've been the ones slept on the most out of all 4 of those teams. I think ASU is being talked about too much. Stop it.
Too much. I think
Please.
out of all 4 of those teams, which team is being slept on? Or maybe just
probably
not getting enough love.
Probably Iowa State.
Yeah, I would agree.
But like you have to understand their 2,000-yard receivers are gone. But I don't know. It's still a good program there. I think the reason why these three teams are so important, and Erik kind of touched on it, but like those teams didn't just take a step forward last year. They like
took leaps.
Exploded through the ground and became these powers of the Big 12 like ASU for 1 year, and everyone's expecting them to now come back down to earth completely.
Yeah, that's 100%.
And so it's not even like if one of these teams takes a step forward. It's if these teams kind of stay the same or don't take a full step back. Like if Kansas State, Kansas State I guess was out of those three teams wasn't the one that came out of nowhere. But like if Iowa State or BYU just remains kind of who they are and maybe takes a slight half step back, you're still worried about them because they could beat anybody.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And a team that I don't think anybody is really talking about is our third obstacle for Arizona State and realistically for the rest of the Big 12. Maybe Devon Dampier leads Utah back to the top. Again, they haven't necessarily been the top of the Big 12 in their one season, but as we know, they were a dominant powerhouse in the Pac-12 last year, of course, being a down year. You had injuries. You had the Cam Rising situation. Maybe people were looking beyond Kyle Whittingham, getting ready for the next regime to take over. But Devon Dampier from the transfer portal, as we've talked about prior, Rubus, he is a very, very interesting prospect to lead Utah potentially back to the top of college football.
Yeah, this is scary. I think Utah is maybe sneaky the scariest team, not necessarily that I'm going to say that I believe in them per se, but you have to imagine that last season was an anomaly.
Yes.
For Kyle Whittingham and company. And also, we don't know how many years left Kyle Whittingham has leading this Utah team.
I'm glad you added that last part to it.
That was. I thought you were going somewhere crazy.
On that note, I was gonna be like, "Geez,
his blood sacrifice with the devil it's ticking. He's almost
him
there."
And the Pacers were there at the same time. But the thing with Utah is that there's such an infrastructure there, and there was such a hole at quarterback last season, and still at certain points they were dangerous. I mean, they almost beat ASU, at ASU. So I think that if you're able to get at least not an elite quarterback, if Devon Dampier can reach those heights, but a serviceable, consistent dual threat quarterback that can unlock a little bit more of your offense with the type of program that's been built around Whittingham in Utah, I think that there's a chance that they go into the season and they start off good enough in Big 12 play that it's not out of the conversation. We're thinking, okay, well, is it going to be Utah, Arizona State in the Big 12 championship?
I think that's fair.
There's that ceiling still for them. I think they hit their floor last year.
Yeah.
When did Kyle Whittingham start coaching at Utah?
It was either very early 2000s or late 1900s.
Give me
late 1900s?
Yeah, 1990s.
Give me
that counts. Late
1998.
He became the D-line coach there in 1994.
When he was head coach?
2005.
Okay.
After Urban, right? After Urban Meyer. Yeah.
Isn't that disgusting?
That's crazy.
But also awesome.
94. So I was -3 years old.
Same.
At that time.
We were -3 together.
We were -3
We were -6.
Wow.
I was 4 years old.
We were in a jam band.
At -3?
Yeah, and we were called.
What was it called?
-6.
That's what the band was called? That's a great band name.
That is actually a really good band name.
And -6.
Is it just -6 or is it like -6 spelled out?
-6.
Okay.
But like -6.
Okay, gotcha.
And we used to be called the Inverse Babies.
The Inverse Babies.
Because
when did we change it?
Well, when we became -3 together.
That's my favorite game ever. Is Shane just throwing something into the void and then me just asking a million questions to see.
I always have an answer.
How deep can it go?
How deep can we go down the rabbit hole? And Shane does a phenomenal job of taking us all the way down the rabbit hole.
Sharon saying, Totri, I swear, if you ever say late 1900s again.
I mean, it's not wrong. That's the late 1900s.
Yeah, but if you say 1900s, it sounds like you're talking
1900s is tough.
Yeah,
but it's the truth, man.
We used to sell salt
There
water
was the guy,
before World War I.
the Diop guy that we're going to talk about.
Born in 2005?
Yeah, born in 2005.
Yeah. Sam Leavitt was born in 2004.
It's gross. It's horrible.
I love Ben Coleman saying that he doesn't think he has his driver's license.
He's 14. Gosh. Incredible
Yeah,
stuff.
this is how you can measure it. Glenn says 3 ASU coaches ago.
Yeah, that's
what-
the
that's how long
benchmark.
Cal Whittingham has been, which just feels like
not that many, actually.
No.
What, coaches ago?
Yeah.
Since he's been the head coach?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's fair. I mean, Todd was here a while.
Devils.
So I guess that's fair. Look, we still have 2 more obstacles that are in Arizona State's way, potential obstacles for the Sun Devils in 2025. And then maybe if we have some time, we could talk about Diop being a Devil, but we are going to take our final break.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that amount of time, I've probably lost a ton of money because it's impossible to live without spending money.
Yeah,
here.
it is.
Just in life. And that's why Monarch Money is so important, because it's the best way to track your spending, to track your investments, and make sure that you are actually focused on what's important, which is making sure that you can make your dreams a reality. Start building wealth with Monarch Money. Not saving, but building wealth. And you could do that by getting 50% off your first year. Just for our listeners, listen, I learned that there are a lot of recurring charges that I did not know about.
Yeah.
I didn't know about them. That's on me, coach. And Monarch Money helped me out with that. All your accounts, credit cards, investments in one place. You'll know where your money stands. It's a finance tool that people actually love, named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025 and the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 5-star reviews. Get control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHNX.
Well, look, if you're building wealth, you're going to need a place to put it, and there's no better place than Desert Financial Credit Union. Look, if you're an Arizona sports fan, of course there's no better place to do your banking than DFCU. It's the only place where you could show your team spirit every single time that you make a purchase with their exclusive debit cards branded with your favorite Valley teams, including the Arizona Cardinals. And shout out, we've got the ASU debit cards. And hey, maybe you're a Lumberjack fan. They've got some NAU ones as well. My personal favorite part, I tell you every single time about DFCU, is that when it comes to finances, there are a bunch of different avenues that you can go. Maybe you got questions about your checkings and savings accounts. What about mortgages, loans, credit cards, or even investment options? And the list goes on and on and on. But our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union, they have somebody to answer all of your questions as it relates to any single part of your finances. Plus, when you open a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200.
Money, 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 money.
Yeah, you can do that one this time. Money. See, that was much better than my rendition of it. Sharon saying her freshman year in college was actually in the late 1900s.
Late 1900s kind of rocks,
Yeah,
honestly.
it does.
Like,
It
that's
does.
kind of funny.
Desert Strauss in the 1900s were the best years. Yeah, I mean, -6 was going strong in the late 1900s. What were you doing?
In the late 1900s?
Yeah.
Barely existing.
Yeah, I mean, so were we.
I was at the buzzer of the late 1900s.
You were at the you were 99, baby?
Yeah, I was April 99.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so do you claim being a 90s baby?
I don't claim being a 90s baby, but I do look down upon those who were born after 2000.
Yeah, I mean,
but
as
I'm not
you
a
should,
90s baby.
As you should. I
But
feel
I-
like
but I look-
everybody
I
should
look
look
down
down
at them.
upon those that
Yes.
were born in the turn of the century.
People born in 2000 are 25.
Yes.
Makes
It's
me vom.
gross. It is gross.
My favorite Madden of all time is Madden 07. People born in
The
2007
Sean Alexander one?
are 18. Yep.
Yeah, great game.
Great
After
game.
that one might have been my favorite like franchise mode that they had.
Yeah.
It was just so elite.
I fired it up a couple months back.
Gosh, and it was just as
Yeah,
just
it's great.
awesome.
The franchise mode, I
Yeah.
can go forever.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get to our fifth.
I know. We got
Oh, fourth.
obstacle number 4 before we get into obstacle number 5, and that is, of course, maybe Texas Tech. Maybe they capitalize on spending big
Money,
in
money, money,
the offseason.
money.
Notice we went Monarch Money, DFCU, Texas Tech. Maybe that's
Dude,
exactly
that's
what
probably
they
it.
did.
They probably signed up with
They
Monarch
had
Money.
Monarch Money, and then they had Desert Financial Credit Union, and then here we go. Now they've got all
No,
bunch
because what I think Texas Tech had was a bad financial advisor.
You think they had bad financial
Yes.
advice? Well,
Don't spend this much money in one offseason.
they spent a lot of money,
Stop it.
but it could work. I know you don't think it's gonna,
I don't think it's gonna.
but it could. And if it does, it could be scary.
Nope.
You don't think so? What do you think, Rubens?
He believes in the magic and whimsy of college football, and to
The magic and the whimsy?
yeah, because if you're out and you're just spending money, right? It's not organic.
I believe in camaraderie and friendship.
Yeah.
Sorry, sue me.
Is that the difference between Arizona State and everybody else in the Big 12?
Yes, the power of
everybody else
camaraderie
has
and friendship.
magic and whimsy, and the Arizona
No.
State is camaraderie and friendship.
No, we have magic, whimsy, camaraderie, and friendship.
Oh, we've all
Everyone else has money.
Money. Sorry. This scares me. This scares me because, and Shane's like, oh, well, you've never seen a team, go out and spend and it's fine. It's like, this is a new era of college football, man. Like, this might work.
We've been in this new era.
What we saw.
We've been in this new era for 5 years.
Different. I know it's different with ASU last year, but we saw a team full of transfers and new faces all being mixed and matched and plugged together in 1 year, put it together and win a Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
Who's to say that a team that's the second highest
But it also
spend-
wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
no.
I know it's not the same.
It's not the same.
I get it.
It's not the same because it wasn't all just
It
one
wasn't
year.
all just 1 year.
It was 2 years, and they suffered together and became friends.
Yes.
There were
Is
core
Raider
guys-
is
there
Raider
were
Red
core-
out there? Is that what you're worried about?
Yeah,
Is he going out there Kimbo style with two
we need to
Magnum
watch out for
pistols?
Pistol Pete, not Raider Red. Okay.
He's got a gun to my family.
Well, Pistol Pete will save you.
I don't think he will.
No, I mean, if you know, you know. I'm excited to talk to Pistol Pete.
You gonna see him again? You
I'm
think he'll
excited to
remember
talk
you?
to Pistol Pete. Yeah, I think that's what.
I want to be there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Womp womp.
It's okay, Shane. Yeah, I think this is a real concern. Not just for ASU, but for all of the teams in the conference. Is if Texas Tech can put it together quick, then yeah, I think they have the talent to be a very, very big threat, not just in the Big 12, but in terms of making the college football playoff as well on their own. That's just what this roster has been built to do. They got a returning quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did lose their bell cow and Taj Brooks, like pretty much the rest of the conference did.
Yep.
But this is a
But
team.
they've replaced it with a lot of talent and a lot of money.
They absolutely did. So I think that is a fair obstacle for ASU and for everybody else in this conference. But maybe one of the more likely obstacles that the fans in the country seem to be rallying behind is a new season means a new sleeper team emerges. That is our fifth obstacle for ASU. What do I mean by that? I mean, does Josh Hoover lead this team back just a few years removed from a national championship appearance? Does Sawyer Robertson take Baylor and Dave Aranda to a Big 12 championship? Or is there somebody that we're not talking about that ultimately can surprise in a similar way that Arizona State did in 2024?
What do you think about Colorado?
Don't even get me started. I don't think Colorado is I'm not worried about Colorado. Are you? Are you worried about Colorado?
Shaking
In your
I'm not
boots?
worried. I think they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
You think it'll be
I don't
fine?
think they're going to be great. I think they'll be fine.
So which is the team?
The biggest dark horse team, actually, I think is Utah. I think it's who we talked about earlier, who's not being really mentioned in these. Could they win the Big 12 conversations?
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that it's just the machine is back to being the machine, and that's Utah. Other than that, as far as who's predicted to be near the bottom, who could be fun? I mean, Houston feels like a team. They have a coach that people believe in. They seem like they're on the right trajectory. They've got a
Old
couple
Fritzy.
of pieces. I'm not gonna put money on it and stand on it, but it feels like out of all the group of the bottom of the Big 12, it sure as hell isn't gonna be Arizona.
What about Oklahoma State, man?
I don't
know they were bad, but Mike Gundy has taken this team bowling every year except
Talk to
last
me.
year and his first year.
I'm 40. I'm a man.
Yeah. One of the greatest
I was around in the
press
late
conferences
1900s.
ever. He's been around for a long time, and he's won. He's won a lot. Nobody's talking about Oklahoma State. I know they lost Ollie Gordon. I know they had a horrendous year last year, the worst year with Gundy at the helm, not winning a single Big 12 game. But
Alan
Gundy's a
Bowman-
winning coach.
Alan Bowman had to check into a facility.
He did.
Yeah.
He's a winning coach. And I'm interested to see what they do this season. I believe Brennan Presley's gone. Finally, you don't got to worry about the quick stir anymore. Playing wide out for Oklahoma
Is
State.
Stribling left too, right?
I think Deshaun Stribling left. I think he's at Ole Miss now.
Yeah, he went to Ole Miss.
So
They
just
lost
maybe
their-
not them.
They lost their entire offensive line, but their entire offensive line was
also
trash.
old.
They were old, and they were all fifth-year returning offensive linemen, and they all sucked.
Yeah.
They were all really bad.
That's when your knees leave you. When you hit that fifth year of eligibility, your knees are just gone. Your hips, you lose it. It's tough.
Not if you're Ben Coleman.
Exactly. Not if you're Ben Coleman. Guys, let us know in the comments what you think is the most likely obstacle for Arizona State. Again, I think we all here feel pretty confident that Arizona State is going to be returning to the Big 12 championship, or at least be a very, very competitive team this season in this conference, yet again with Sam, with this offensive line, with Kenny, and with all of the other weapons. So let us know in the comments. Again, make sure you hit that like button. You hit the subscribe button. Do we want to get into JJB's new favorite basketball player?
Mr. Mo.
Yeah.
Mr. Mo Diop. We do want to do that. Do we have? I wish we had we could cook some highlights of this brand spanking new guy at Arizona State. If you aren't somebody that is ridiculously active on social media, then maybe you didn't see. But Mor Massamba Diop has committed to ASU. If you're wondering what school he went to prior to ASU, that is not available information. Instead, he was playing overseas for CBA Gran Canaria in Spain. He's a 6'11" center who averaged 16 points per game and 7.9 boards last season overseas. Rubus, we've talked a lot about ASU really lacking a true center, and potentially this could be, I guess, the starting center for Arizona State. Is that at all a possibility?
I guess possible. I don't.
Those are the right stats.
Are we sure?
They are 100% the right stats. A bunch of media outlets have shared those, and I've looked on another Euro website, not that one specifically.
Because this one says he averaged 6.5 points per game.
That is not correct.
His tape is good.
His tape is good.
Yes.
Does it make you feel confident that he's a starting center?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like he is huge. He runs the floor well, and he looks like he's coordinated. And he played Eurobasket or wherever this is, like
in Spain.
I mean, international basketball is tough, right? Like it's harder than it's pro basketball, right?
I will say what I have always said is Euro players coming to college hoops, I don't see it translating as well as, the high school game. But for big men, it can work.
A lot of how he scored was in transition. He seems pretty skilled for somebody his size. He takes a couple dribbles sometimes on a fast break, but a lot of times he's dunking. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. It's fun. He looks like he has a motor, and he's going to be a rim runner for the team. And the tandem of him and Trevor Best, I can't wait to tweet the Kobe and Shaq gif of them standing next to each other, arms crossed, ready to dominate. But yeah, he's going to be fun. There's going to be some highlights there. I'm not sure exactly how good he will be, but there's certainly the size, the athleticism, the finishing ability. Those are all necessary on a team that needs just about everything.
Yeah.
Little post game.
I guess I got it all now. I'm really interested to see how this roster comes together.
Sure.
This is so vastly different from how they constructed it last year with the guys that they have. So, I mean, can Bobby cook is the question.
The biggest question, bigger than that, are they going to be friends?
Who, Diop and Best?
Everybody.
Who's going to be
the biggest? Have Magic and Whimsy.
Who's going to be the best friends?
Who will be the biggest friends in Big 12 basketball? Tune in for tomorrow's edition of PHNX Sun Devils.
Oh, boy. Guys,
we don't need to compete. We got MMD.
We got friendship in Diop.
Yep.
That's what we got.
Is it Diop or Diop?
What did you say?
Diop. Because it's also pronounced Jup.
If we were friends, Diop. We would know.
MMD.
Yeah, that's what I said. MMD is the best. Sounds like
I can't wait to make a pun about wanting more Diop during the season.
Guys, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review. Wherever you get your podcast. If you enjoyed today's content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow this guy at The Dumbest Person Alive. Actually, no. You can follow him at Erik Ruby. Excuse me.
Was already taken. Sorry.
That's Erik with a K. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Dief.
Well, real quick, make sure you consider donating.
Yes,
to the great cause we have going on. It's right under the chat if you're watching on
It's not a super chat.
On a browser. Yeah, it's right under the chat if you're watching on a browser. You can see the Big Brothers Big Sisters logo. Donate. It's for a good cause. We're trying to raise $10,000 by the end of the week throughout all of the networks in ALLCITY. And yeah, it's for a really good cause, as you will see.
For a great cause.
As you will learn more on Thursday.
Shane Dieffenbach just donating the cause as always.
Just donating to the cause and hoping that ASU Basketball, ASU Football, the rest of the ASU programs are all friends within their own programs, but also with each other.
Yeah.
And best friends, as always.
Guys, we will be back tomorrow. That is, of course, a Wednesday. We're going to be doing a snake draft. Maybe we're going to be talking about the Frank Kush Coach of the Year. Yours truly, Kenny Dillingham. But in the meantime, go Devils. And peace.
We all silly like the mayor.